A stunning expose about how the pharmaceutical industry is sending hundreds of millions of dollars to NIH scientists. And that includes Dr. Anthony Fauci, speaking of him. Now, what are they buying with these so-called royalties? We're going to show you in moments. Anthony Fauci is the highest paid employee in the federal government, earning more than $456,000 just last year. But it turns out he's actually been the beneficiary of much more than that. An investigation by the group OpenTheBooks.com reveals that he and other NIH employees are getting paid royalties that haven't been disclosed to us from third parties like pharmaceutical companies, and the sum in total is astronomical. Fox's Trace Gallagher is in our West Coast newsroom with all the details. Trace.
Laura, no surprise that each year the National Institutes of Health gives out billions of dollars in federal grant money to tens of thousands of recipients. But it's very surprising when you learn that each year tens of millions of dollars in royalties or kickbacks flows back to the doctors and scientists at NIH for the work they have done on various experimental treatments. Much of the royalty money comes from pharmaceutical companies, and the scientists getting royalties include big names, as you mentioned, like Dr. Anthony Fauci and former NIH Director Francis Collins. Now, because these kickbacks could create potential conflicts of interest, watchdog groups believe the payment should be fully disclosed. Instead, the NIH appears to be withholding the information. In fact, the group Open the Books says NIH defied a Freedom of Information request to give up the data, so the group sued and won. But even then, they say the NIH is slow-walking the information, releasing only partial data, and the data that is being released is heavily redacted, making it impossible to know exactly how much each scientist is getting. So the documents only provide the total number of payments and the total dollar amount. For example, between 2009 and 2014, there were 22,100 royalty payments to 1,700 NIH scientists, totaling $134 million. Open the Books estimates by 2020, the total payments exceeded $350 million. And for the record, from 2009 to 2014, Dr. Fauci, who makes $456,000 a year, got 23 royalty payments. Fauci says he donates the royalties to charity. And Dr. Francis Collins, who made more than $200,000 a year, got 14 payments. In case you're wondering, royalty payments to NIH are legal, which begs the question, why are they working so hard to keep the information from going public? Laura.
Trace, fascinating. Thank you. Now, joining me now is Adam Andrzejewski, CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com, which broke the story. Adam, now, it was a battle for you to even get this information. If it's all legal and no appearance of any conflict, then why?
Well, Laura, it's been a knockdown, drag-out battle just to get the information that we have received lately. So here's what the record shows. One, we filed a Freedom of Information Act request 8 months ago, and they ignored it. They didn't even respond to our request. Then we sued them in federal court. Our lawyers are Judicial Watch. And then on judicially mandated production, we received these highly redacted documents. So this is a strategy from NIH to use taxpayer money and very expensive taxpayer-funded litigation to keep taxpayers in the dark.
Now, the acting NIH director, Adam, responded to your investigation. Watch.
Do you not see that as a conflict or an appearance of a conflict of information?
I certainly can understand that it might seem as an appearance, but and it's the sort of thing that maybe we could work together on so that we can explain to you the firewalls that we do have in place because they are significant and substantial.
Adam, the firewalls, that just makes me want to just burst out into laughter, if not peals of laughter. Do you buy any of this?
I'm not buying it. We didn't even know. Who knew that over the course of the last 10 years, roughly 55,000 of these third-party paid royalty payments were paid to roughly 1,700 NIH government-employed scientists to the tune, $350 million over that 10-year period. They were hiding that. That was in secret. And now they say, trust us, we have firewalls. I'm not buying it. But, thank you to the congressman John Molinaire out of Michigan, for holding the new acting director's feet to the fire and earning that confession in the congressional hearing today.
Yeah, that, he understands that people would think it was at least the appearance of a conflict. A lot of people are calling this kind of the great public health grift. Fauci, in response, would say, well, look, I donated. I donate all the money. Because it can't be a grift. I don't benefit personally. Is that the full picture as well?
So, says who with what proof? That's the standard that we always use. So back in 2005, when he was caught on it by the Associated Press, this is the last time that this royalty database had sunshine, had scrutiny. The agency actually gave him the whole database. Fauci admitted that it was a conflict of interest, and he says he donates it. But we wouldn't know that for a fact unless we saw his federal income tax returns, which he definitely won't disclose. So here's where we're at. We're calling on NIH to come clean with the American people, to disclose what they're hiding right now. Even on our production, they're redacting the payment amount to the 1,700 scientists, to Fauci and everybody else. When Fauci said that his finances are public knowledge, here yet again is another example of where Fauci's finances are funky, they're being hidden and not disclosed to the American people.
Well, and the fact is, drugs like remdesivir, Paxlovid, those types of drugs would get a huge influx of federal grant dollars for the research. But generics, where you don't get, there's not much money, or even supplements like D3 or zinc, with other generic drugs in combination, they're not going to really probably get a lot of money to kind of test those out. That's where all this kind of comes into play, does it not?
Well, it does. There's all kinds of ethical questions, pay-to-play questions. When you have tens of billions, $32 billion a year in grant making going out the door to 56,000 grant recipients in healthcare and pharmaceutical companies across the country. And then separately, there's tens of millions, about $36 million a year, coming back into the agency to enrich its scientists. There's all kinds of pay-to-play questions and ethical issues that come to the forefront.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about this at the university setting, too, where I think research universities, this is amazing, so much great work is done. But you also have to look at the money that's gone into those research grants, and that's usually disclosed, of course, in studies and so forth. But Adam, thank you so much for your work on this. We're going to be following this very carefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.